What's up, party people? This is Josh Young, and welcome to this episode of NOLA Film Scene.
NOLA Film Scene.
Hello, welcome to NOLA Film Scene with TJ and Plato.
I'm TJ.
And as always, I'm Plato.
Welcome back to NOLA Film Scene. We're here with my good friend, Josh.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Josh, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to be here.
How would you describe yourself? Tell the people about you.
I am a MC and a DJ. I do that professionally. I'm also an influencer, an actor, and as of a couple of days ago, I am a comic book writer, and I just finished my first comic book called Popsicle Ghost, and it is out now.
Excellent. Do you have a copy of it? Can you hold up the cover? So I'd love to see a shot of that cover art.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Definitely. Congratulations. MC Popsicle. That's Popsicle Ghost the comic. But you have a film you've been working on about Popsicle, too.
Yes. I'm also making a movie called Popsicle World. I've been working on it for like 3 years now. I play every character. At this juncture, it's about 2.5 hours long. I'm probably going to make it shorter, but it's like a sci-fi comedy adventure movie, and it's all on green screen.
Yeah, I do follow it on your Facebook. It's wild. What is going on in Josh's head that he came up with that? And in a good way. In a good way. I'm not, he's weird, but weird like us, good. It's fantastic.
If you watch it in order, it makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm almost finished. I got like 10 minutes left, I think, and then it'll be completely finished. I've been editing as I went, so it'll be done soon.
I'd like to ask, Josh, how challenging is it to do what you're doing in that film with the green screen?
It was very weird at first because you're talking to no one and you're sitting in a room by yourself. As you get used to it, though, you really picture the other characters. So it gets a lot easier. It reminds me of on my podcast that I also do, we talked to Charles Fleischer, which is the voice of Roger Rabbit. And that was basically what they had to do at that time for Eddie Valiant, the detective in the movie. He had to just sit there and talk to no one or like a stick for the entire movie. So he said he basically went into a sort of psychosis where he saw the rabbit and he said it took him like 6 months to stop seeing him, because after you get used to putting yourself mentally in that space, it's not so hard. Makes you crazy though, I guess. So yeah, I've just been picturing, it gets a lot easier as you go. At first it feels awkward, but after a year or two, you see the people pretty well mentally.
Yeah, and it's wild. I love it.
Yeah, I've watched some of the videos that you produced, and your production quality and the way you do it is just incredible. I've been doing a lot of editing with this podcast, and I've done some editing in the past for a friend that had a YouTube channel. He was mostly a game streamer, and seeing the stuff that you do and the editing that you do is just mind-blowing, the way you bring that stuff to life.
Thank you very much. That's actually what I went to school for. It was just kind of like a project for myself, and I decided that I was not going to do things based on what I could do. I would do things based on what I wanted to do. And so it was an opportunity to learn. So I would say, like, I want to fly, so I'm going to figure out how to fly. I would never base my decisions on what I knew was possible. I would just figure out how to do it as I went. And I've learned a lot, and I've never run into anything that I couldn't do.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And you kind of already touched on it, but we've been asking people where they got their starts, what inspired them to go into the entertainment field. You went into the school because you wanted to learn the techniques, but also what was your inspiration before becoming a DJ?
That really just happened. It was very strange. I got out of school and I was just kind of floating around for a minute. And then I went to this place called The Hangout. It's very cool. I don't know if you guys have been there or heard of it, but it's like this giant club on the beach, and you can fit like 5,000 people in there. It's huge. And so I went in there to watch some show or something. And my friend's like, hey, you should be an MC. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And then he kind of explained it to me. And I was like, I'll think about it. And I walked all the way to the bottom step of the building. And I was like, screw it. I'll go ask them. So I go up to the front desk, and I was like, do you guys need MCs? And the lady that I happened to ask was the owner of the club and also nearly a billionaire, like rich,
Wow.
rich. And there was just some random person that happened to be at the desk. And she was like, you're going to be great. You're going to be amazing. We're going to hire you. And like, we became really close friends after that. And then she was like, whatever you need, let me know and we'll do it. Like, if you want to dress up, do a dance or whatever, we'll do it. And I'll get you the stuff. So I was like, awesome. So that was a very good job for me and very encouraging creatively. But I could basically just make stuff up as far as entertainment and do it. It was a very encouraging environment for me creatively. That was just an accident.
That's awesome. When I was a Saint Superfan, Captain Crescent City, I hired you and you DJ'd on the float as we cruised down the street.
That was so fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. That was the only time I've ever been on a float like that. That was really
wow,
fun.
I'm glad I could break your cherry.
Yeah, that was so fun. I enjoyed it. I just played like pump up music the whole time, like jock rock stuff. It was fun.
It was cool.
So are you still actively DJing and emceeing now?
I've been focusing more on emceeing lately. I do a show at Razoo on Bourbon Street. And I do that about 4 nights a week. I DJ a very little bit, but I much more enjoy hosting and like entertaining in that way, because I feel there's only so much you can do with the audience if you're sitting there focusing on DJing so much. So I'd rather, talk and dance and sing and all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoy it. It's fun. I'm doing all this other stuff too. I enjoy all these things though. So whatever works out best, I'll be happy to do,
It seems like the emceeing and the things that you do with that would carry over to the acting side of things, because you're also an actor. It seems like that would be very helpful with doing certain types of performances.
Definitely. It also can be not good. It just depends, because if I'm like a rock star or if I'm like someone very similar to myself, that it's very effortless and I've built a persona that it's really easy to slip into. But if it's something where like maybe I'm shy or maybe I'm like some tormented person, then it's harder. I had to actually deconstruct that. That was part of what I wanted to do when I started going to acting classes. Is I'd built this persona so strongly that I needed to take it away so that I would be able to do more than that one person. It was so ingrained in me to be this certain way that I was like, I'm going to start over and throw everything out and try to be just blank so that I can be other people,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Did you ever do the circle exercise?
He thought I did. I think he thought I did. I don't think I actually did, though. I didn't correct him. But
the reason
I know I need to do it.
Josh and I met in Jim Gleason's acting class. And almost every guest who is from the New Orleans area that we've had so far, I've met in the circle exercise. So at least there's the Jim Gleason connection with us. So we're still on trend.
Yeah, Brian and I even met in the circle exercise.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good place to meet people. Yeah, every actor that I know from around here I met them in Jim's class. I love Jim.
He's great.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I worked in the Screen Actors Guild with Jim. I was doing communication with the Screen Actors Guild for a little while. I was working on, getting people together and writing articles and stuff like that. So I did that for like 6 months also.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was doing it. Like, I enjoyed it. I love all those people. They're very cool.
And before we started, you were telling us about a movie that's coming out.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's based on a graphic novel. It's called Tad Caldwell and the Monster Kid. It's like a horror sci-fi movie. Very cool. Like if you get a chance, you should grab one of these. It's very interesting. I don't officially know that I have ADD, but I feel like if a doctor talked to me, they would be like, look at yourself. So this was very interesting. It's kind of like a mystery, mysteries, and it keeps you wondering what's going on until the very end. So I have a antagonist part in this. I can't say too much about what I do exactly, because it's kind of like a surprise at the end of the movie.
Totally.
They're doing sound for it right now. And so it should be out very, very soon. I'm really excited about that.
Excellent. And to let people know, in case this comes out and the strike's still on, this is an independent movie. That's why Josh can talk about it. But when we're taping, they're negotiating. So it's going to be over by the time this drops.
Yes, I hope so. Those things.
Yep.
Been a minute.
It has. Okay, so tell me.
Be glad when it's done.
Yeah, indeed. So what was your inspiration to get into acting? I feel like you have some very distinct, different types of entertainment, creative that you do. Tell us more about the acting side. How did you get your start with that?
I think it was just, I've always wanted to do that ever since I was a little kid. Well, those are the first two things. I was like, first I'll be a secret agent, be looking over your shoulder all the time. I was 12. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to be a secret agent. And then after that, I decided to be an actor. It's just something that I'd always wanted to get into. And then when I moved to New Orleans, maybe like 5 years ago or something like that, there wasn't much of a scene in Alabama for that. So I decided I wanted to, while I was over here and I had access to those type of things, that I would get into it. I just always enjoyed getting to be other people and having that creative outlet,
Yeah. So let's go back to DJing versus MCing. And you described it, how you can be more interactive with the people. When you mix in the audio, when you're DJing, you're concentrating on that. When you're MCing, when you're hosting, it's with the people. So what do you do for the music then? Are you bringing up other acts, or it's all pre-recorded?
No, we have a DJ that is doing his own show. And let me clarify this, because no one knows what either of those things are. So a lot of times I just say I'm a DJ because everybody is like, you're an MC? Oh, then you're a DJ. Or you're a DJ? Oh, then you're an MC. And they are not the same thing. An MC is master of ceremonies, and that is actually a term that came from the Catholic Church, believe it or not, which means you're running the show. So whatever that would entail, that's a good thing that I like about my job, is you can kind of do whatever you want. Like, I could sit on stage and build a sandcastle if I wanted to. As long as people stay, then it's fine, which I really enjoy. So you can just kind of be off the cuff and make up whatever you want. As long as it's working, then you're allowed to do whatever you want to do. So an MC, you're sitting there, you're talking to the audience, you're singing, you're dancing, you're bringing people up, just hosting the show. DJ, disc jockey, I think everybody knows what that is. But I mean, that's more, you're actually sitting there with you would have a DJ with you normally. Like, you could do it, I guess, pre-recorded and run everything, but that's really complicated to do all that unless you're just running off of a playlist. But that's not the way it's supposed to be done. That's like I worked at a radio station, for a hip hop radio station, when I was in college. And those are two of the pillars of hip hop. You got your DJ and you got your MC, and they're pretty inseparable. You kind of need to have both of them. You can do both, but it's better if you have two. Yeah,
No, thanks. Appreciate for clearing that up.
Yeah, just thought people should know, because that is a question that has haunted me for 10 years.
Excellent.
I can imagine, and I wasn't entirely clear on the differences, but if you're DJing, can you MC, or is it too task heavy to DJ and MC at the same time?
The way I like to do it, it definitely is, but it's not necessary. I mean, you could, a lot of people do both, but you're splitting what you can do in half. So you can't move if you're DJing and MCing. So the moving is out the window. Your focus is cut in half. You can do it okay, I guess, but it's not nearly the same, because I'm like climbing the walls and jumping off things and like dancing around. So like that would all be out the window. So you're just stationary, So, but the way I like to do it is very, very physically demanding. So yeah, that would be hard to do if you're DJing.
I can't picture you sitting still.
Me either. It's too boring.
And you feed off the crowd and they feed off of you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to whip everybody up into a frenzy the whole time. That's basically all I like to do. I would get in trouble all the time for being too intense. Like, when I was younger, I still do occasionally, but I think it's funny to get in trouble for being too hype if you're a hype guy.
I'm getting paid for it now, what I used to get in trouble for. And continuing with our jumping around, let's go back to the comic book. How did that start? How did you get into the comic book? Who'd you contact? How to get drawn? Did you draw it?
I did everything as far as writing it and drawing it. Kurt Allmacher, the guy that wrote this, he kind of came on as like a consulting position because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I didn't know about like page size or the bleed of the page. There's all this stuff that you have no idea that goes into making a comic. Like the size of it is very important. All these things that nobody has any idea about. So he helped me as far as that goes. We met and he helped me just kind of figure out the rules, the general rules that you can't really break. And Ryan Acey did the typesetting. I got really serious about it like 6 months ago because I talked to Kevin Eastman, the guy that made Ninja Turtles for my podcast, the pre-made version that wasn't that good, but he seemed very interested in the idea and he wanted to talk about that a lot. And I was like, I could do this justice. I feel like I did not do it justice. And if Kevin Eastman thinks there's something to it, I decided to get into it.
Yeah.
I came up with this little character probably like 15 years ago, Popsicle Ghost that's on my hat, something that I've wanted to do for like 15 years. And I just decided to start working on it. And I decided to make it kind of similar to my movie. So it was a good jumping off point. I knew how to write that because I'd been writing that. So I decided to make it more things that I could not fit. Like I cannot make myself into a giant popsicle, literally. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't look very good. I'm very, very proud of it. It's something that I think that the quality of it is way better than something I thought I could do.
It looks great. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, same here.
Can you read, TJ?
Despite popular opinion, yeah. Yes,
oh, okay, good.
There's lots of pictures in it, right? So,
well, words initially, so that if you looked at it, you could generally get a feel of it. So you got a shot. I think you can. I think you can do it.
Good.
Excellent.
We'll get Plato to read it to you.
It'll fit the next audiobook I do. Yeah. From this podcast, somebody reached out to me and said, would you like to do my audiobook? And I was like, yeah. So
cool. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think you would have to read your book, but I'll help if you need me.
Okay. Sounds good. I feel like that's a really good job for you to read books, though. I think that's really cool.
As soon as I get myself to a class, I learn how to read myself. I'm sorry. No, I never learned to read. We're just trying to speak good here. We struggle with that every day.
I say that at my shows.
And we know who you're referencing.
That's part of my show. I say I can't read nearly every day at my shows. I don't. It's just a joke. It's an ongoing joke that I have in my shows that I can't read.
And all the girls in the crowd are like, oh.
It's funny that it's brought up here.
I'll teach you to read. All the girls in your audience. No, ladies. Just dance. Buy a drink. We'll be okay. Go to that bar. Oh, tip? Yeah, I'll take a tip. But you know what to teach. Anyway, TJ, you got any more questions?
It's funny.
Yeah. So what was the inspiration behind your persona? Did it take you a while to develop that? Or did it just kind of come to you early on when you started doing that kind of work?
When I was younger, I feel like a lot of people are like this. Like you don't really know who you are when you're like a young teenager or whatever. So my idea to fix that when I was like a young teenager was, what do you like? Who would you like to be? So I just picked out a bunch of people, elements of different people that I found attractive. And I was like, if you like this, then it kind of is who you are in a way. So I found people that I respected or what I wanted to be like, and then just kind of like put that together with my personality. So I did the same thing when I started emceeing. I was like, okay, what would like the perfect MC be like? So I was like, okay, colors. I want to wear really bright colors all the time. And I took inspiration. Did you guys ever see a Goofy movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Powerline from a Goofy movie. I was like, that is one of the people that I was like, that is what I want to be like. So I took elements of that. That's like one piece of it. So I just took people like that I was like, sadly, a lot of the people I respect are not real people. They're a cartoon.
There's real people behind them. Since I want to be a cartoon.
People like that are like Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four. Just like people like that. And I was like, just took little elements of them. And I was like this. So it was acting in the first place. But to be an MC or to be anyone, it's just like an actor. There are elements of yourself. I feel like to be a reliable actor, you have to distill part of yourself into this functional character. So I just try to get the very best piece of myself that is reliable and let him out of the box. And then he goes back in. I was going to say I'm a normal person, but that's not true.
Normal for you, Josh, whatever that level is. I can relate.
Right. Probably not too normal, but more normal than I appear, I would imagine.
Normal is boring. Normal is safe. If we wanted to be normal, we wouldn't be doing any of this.
Right. Yeah, forget that. We don't need it.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. I like hearing your process. We like hearing people's stories and how they develop to where they are and how everybody we have talked to so far has a different way that they got started in the industry and the things that they're doing. So it's really cool for me personally to hear what people are doing and how they got to that point. And it's inspiring to hear your story with the different characters and things that you've developed.
What do you guys think about that? What I said, do you agree about the separating parts of yourself as far as acting? Or do you think it's better to just bring your entire whole self into it?
I think that would depend on the role. So if there's something that's just exactly 50-year-old, 3-year-old guy from New Orleans, you don't really have to mold, or I wouldn't have to mold. Going back to Jim Gleason's class, you find what's similar, go back to a point in your life. Like for me, I entered the seminary after high school. I didn't do any college. But let's say I had to play a lawyer. So if I go back to that point, or even after that, then I'd have to imagine myself getting into law school and then the bar, and how I would deal with clients and that kind of thing. So it depends on the role. And I think it's Al Pacino. I'm not sure if the quote comes from him, but every time you're acting, you have to be 97% of that character, and 3% of you. So you have to know blocking. You don't want to lose yourself totally, but you do want to lose yourself a bit. You become the amorphous blob. You become the clay that you have to shape into that role, but not so much that you go crazy. Like we've heard bad stories of method acting, where people are just rude on set and treating people terribly. Oh, that's the character. No, you're being an asshole. To my knowledge of it. You can do it cut. Maybe you can't let the emotions go at first, but you still have to interact with other humans as yourself. Okay, back to one. Let's start again in action.
Right.
And then you do that. So yeah, you have to hold yourself a little bit, but be able to let it go. And it's almost a non-answer, but yes and no.
For me, method acting would be go live in a hole for 3 days or something. I don't think being mean to people is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that's necessary. I feel like, maybe you just don't eat for 3 days because your character is starving in the desert or something. Maybe not. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm just saying do it to yourself. Don't do it to other people,
I heard it was on a different podcast and they were talking, it was kind of entertainment reporting. And there were two actors for a movie, man and woman. And in the movie, they're married. So in preparation, they went to marriage counseling as their characters. And the host was like,
yeah.
Man, what are they doing? That's so silly. It's like, that seems proper to me. That seems right. I don't think that part is silly.
Yeah.
So it's the process. And then they took an extra step so that when they get on set, they don't have to try to be the married couple. In that sense, they'll be the married couple. And I think that's what method is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Somebody just sent me something and, hey, watch my video. Can you give me a hand? Sure, I'll watch it. I don't know how much I can give. And then you have the basic acting and is what's called pushing. So if you're supposed to be angry, 1 out of 10, you're supposed to be a 10, but you're only feeling a 7. If you try to show more than that 7, you look like you're trying to act and be angry. Whereas if you just show the 7, it may not have been what you wanted, but it will be true to life. And that was some of the stuff that I saw in his,
right.
And it was great, but he couldn't change it in editing. You know what I mean? So
right.
I guess I got off on a little bit of tangent, but that part of the method, so that when the acting is there, the scene is there, when you're doing the acting, it's on the screen. The method comes through, and then they can deal with whatever they need to deal with in editing.
Right. Yeah. So it's like that Tad Caldwell movie that I did, that was part of because I believe in method acting to an extent, but my character, while I can't say who it is, he's like, part of the character is he's like starving all the time. So just, I didn't eat for a couple of days to try to get in touch with that feeling, but that only affects me, stuff like that.
For me, when I started studying acting, I studied Meisner, and Meisner says that acting is living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. So you have to find your own truth for each role and apply that. I agree with Brian. I don't necessarily think you have to be method and stay in that all the time. I don't know. Maybe some people do. I still don't fully understand why some choose to do it that way and some don't. Like Brian, I've heard the horror stories of big name actors that stay in character and they're complete jerks all the time. I don't necessarily think that that's right. I have to get my headspace right if I'm doing something emotional, and I try to tap back into a memory or an experience or something that I went through to apply that And like Brian said, like Jim has said, to be able to relate to that character and what they're going through. I think it's possible to find experiences from life, to find a way to apply to each one. I just booked a role where I have to play a mentally ill homeless man. And one of my brothers asked me, well, are you going to go live on the street for a couple of days to get in touch with that? No, I don't think I need to go live on the street to get in touch with the homeless aspect of it. I've experienced things, displacement from hurricanes, Katrina and other hurricanes, where I've been without power. I know it's not the same thing as living on the street, but I have experiences where there were times where food was scarce, water was scarce, the ability to clean yourself was scarce, and moving around, living on somebody's floor without air condition. I know it's not the same thing, but it is an experience that I can find a way to relate. And the character, it's more about his mental illness than his living circumstance. So for that aspect of it, I've done other research and looking at different types of mental illness and what specifically I need to bring for this character. He has conversations with himself, imagining that other people are there. So I kind of delve into that to be able to craft that character. So that's kind of my...
I agree with you. It may not always be necessary to put yourself through something horrible to understand a character. I think that method acting is more about having or finding experiences in your life that can connect you to the part. Whether it's exactly the same or not is not that important, but the feeling that you can remember and connect to, I think, is the purpose. And I don't think that you have to live in character to have experiences that you can revisit that make you feel a certain way, you know?
Right. I agree with you. I think it was in a class with Jim. He was describing, it might have been Tom Hanks, a couple of other really big name actors, and watching them, how they would just drop in and out of character like that. You know, being inexperienced, being new, it takes a lot more for myself to get into a role, especially if it's something really emotional. And he described these people, how they could just turn it on like a light switch. But then you also hear the other ones, as we've been talking about, the method actors that stay that way all the time. I can't help but wonder if maybe they just can't flip that switch and drop in and out of character as needed. And maybe that's why they need to stay that way. I don't know. I still don't fully understand it.
I feel like people like Tom Hanks are just born a certain way that is not normal. Like they're not normal people. They're built a certain way, and it makes more sense to me that normal people would need some sort of prompting to get to that point. I feel like more normal person would have to go through some steps or something, you know?
And it would also depend on the role. So picture something that's so intense. Let's say, I'll even say, My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood. His roles are intense, and they're deep, and they're scary.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
And so maybe he has to stay in that because that's such a level of intensity that, you know, you start in the morning and then there's lunch. But if you start chit-chatting with the people you're going to have a scene with where you were just chewing them a new ass and you're like, hey, buddy, how you doing? To get back into that might be too much, might just waste time. And they have the experience where they know where they need to be method. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on the role and if it's a deep drama or if it's a light comedy, there's going to be a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis is a madman. Like I've seen his interviews and he's just this like soft-spoken, normal dude. And then you see him in movies and it's just a complete shift. It's so crazy. Yeah. I love him. Totally. I think he's a great actor. It's just so strange to see him in his normal persona and then gone.
Well, like a very nice person who plays the best villains because they don't let that part of themselves out in reality. They're nice to people. They like people. But everybody's got all the emotions and all the bad stuff in us. And so to let that out, it's almost cathartic. And I can go crazy, and tear it up. But it's a safe space. Right. It's, as long as you're not a jerk and knocking people out on set, at least not on purpose, And then it's a safe space for us to watch and enjoy that with him and access those emotions and those feelings too,
Yeah. I just call those type of actors, especially like Daniel Day-Lewis, that's like a chameleon. That's one of those people that are just not normal, that can just access a part of themselves that is unknown to the general public. Tom Cruise is also a great actor, but his style is like, what if Tom Cruise was the president, or what if Tom Cruise was a bartender, or completely different. He's not becoming anybody else. He's just Tom Cruise.
And it works.
Doing what he does.
Right.
Yeah, but it's good. He has a likable persona, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Brian, do you have other questions?
No, we've covered a lot of it.
Why don't we do some plugs?
Okay. Well, firstly, so my new comic book just came out like 3 days ago, called Popsicle Ghost. It is about the ghost of a popsicle traveling to different dimensions and fighting evil. If you want one, hit me up on my Instagram, MC_popsicle, and we can get you one. It's a special edition, double issues, full color. Very cool. And I will sign it for you. So check that out. Also on my TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, MC_popsicle, I have Popsicle World, which is basically a movie version of the comic book. It's a little different, but it's something that I've been working on for like 3 years, and I think it's pretty good. So yeah, come check that out. Also, I have a podcast called Weird Interviews. I interview actors, comic book writers, movie writers, book writers, voice actors, all kinds of stuff. I just interviewed Erica Schroeder, which is the voice of Eevee from Pokemon, and Nurse Joy. She was the voice of Luffy from One Piece. Wow. And so that's out now. You can find that entire thing on my MC Popsicles World page on Facebook. Also, keep a lookout for Tad Caldwell, going to be out soon. Keep an eye out.
Awesome.
And where do you MC again?
If you want to come to Razoo on Bourbon Street, I'm there every weekend. So come check it out. We turn up super hard.
It's a good club. I've been there in the past. I don't party too much. I'm getting old and tired, but it's a good club to be at.
For sure.
Yeah. I tried just under chaos, complete chaos, like legally, as intense as it can legally be without people going to jail or being deceased. That's where I like to stay.
Yeah, you set that hard limit.
Yeah, no one dies.
Just below death. Party, stop before death.
Yes, no one dies. That's
Josh Young. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. We got some great insights from you. You're very inspiring. I really like the stuff that you have going on. Go check out Josh's comic book. Check out his show at Razoo, and keep an eye out for his movie that's coming out soon. Tad Caldwell. Josh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, TJ and Brian. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun talking to you guys. Brian, I knew you. TJ, it was nice to meet you. I really enjoyed it.